Welcome everybody to another Let's Fly or Come Fly With Me or Fly With Me. We'll figure out a name of this someday, but I'm Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo, and today I'm going to be taking out this brand new AeroSphere PA28-1616. Alrighty, now with the wonderful time spent talking over the radio, we can do what we wanted to do, which is just to take the Warrior II out. Now this is the second most flown aircraft that I have in the myriad aircraft that I've flown. Everything from 150s up to 182s, everything from the PA28-140 all the way up to the PA28-180. I really had a great time flying this aircraft here at Republic. And this is the runway, actually the opposite runway. I was landing in that direction when I almost died because my instructor tried to pull back when we were stalling on a landing. I'll explain that when we come back in for landing. That was kind of a harrowing experience. But I bought this aircraft on xplane.org because I really wanted to be able to fly in a Piper because it gives me a better way to compare the two sims. Right now I can tell you the Cherokee 180, which is just amazing inside of Flight Sim World, definitely might have this one beat for fidelity, but this is a third-party craft, and I think they did a very decent job. It could have a lot more fidelity added to it, but being that this is the initial release, I could expect a lot coming from this. What I'm doing right now is I'm testing the rudder, and the rudder actually, I'm not sure if that's the way it would work in the real aircraft. I don't remember it being that harsh with almost being able to put me into a spin like that. Yes, I shouldn't be doing that, but it's a simulator. I'm just trying to test things out. You can't die in a simulator, right? So what my initial thought was to take this aircraft and go out over the Great South Bay and do a couple of stall tests. Now I did a stall test in my Flight Sim World video about 2 videos ago, and I found that one of the things in that sim that was modeled amazingly well was the way that the big brother of this aircraft, the PA28-180, actually stalls. The way that it starts to shake and shimmer and then it just drops. This one, I didn't find that. You're going to see that in just a little bit. But what I did find is that the aircraft does fly very much like it so far. It is a very easy and forgiving aircraft. Not as forgiving as the Cessna, but easy and forgiving. And I just have to say this, guys, you really modeled this aircraft real nice. I might have busted on you a little bit and said that the PA28-180 in Flight Sim World was better. I'm trying to say something great about that sim also. But this is just a beautiful bird, and thank you so much for putting it up on the store and giving us an opportunity to add a Piper Warrior to our hangar. Anyway, I'm taking this up to about 3,000 feet. Let's get inside the aircraft. Of course, we're not going to see that here because it's not being modeled. Yeah, I never see the altitude modeled on the instruments, but that's where we're going, to 3,000 feet. And then what I'm going to do as we approach, this is, wow, that's Robert Moses Causeway over there. Got stories about that too. I used to work in a bar not too far from here. In fact, I didn't live that far from here. I lived like right down this road. I lived right over here. But as far as things go, I used to work in a bar right over here. It was called Oak Beach Inn. It was owned by Bob Matheson. It's gone now. It was just leveled. But it was a big place to go in the 80s and 90s, and I had a really good time working there. So as we get out over this area, which is mostly devoid of any life except for a few things in this area, some rich people live here, and of course there's some houses in this area too. But as we get over here, it's just woods. In fact, one night when I was leaving here, there was Volkswagen Rabbit traveling down this road, Behind it was a Toyota pickup truck, and then I was behind them. Toyota pickup truck actually came around me and started flying past me at like an incredible speed. Runs right into the back end of the Volkswagen Rabbit, which crumples like a tin can and spins out into the guardrail. The truck immediately goes into a cartwheel and goes off the road and goes in this direction. I was a first responder there, and I had a young man pass away in my arms there. Well, pass away in the arms of the EMT that showed up a few minutes later, and my arms. He was thrown out of the truck and into the woods. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm watching this plane now go into slow flight, being that we're not going to see that over here. Trying to get this thing to just keep moving our altitude up while keeping our altitude level, and we're doing a good job at it. Continuing to pitch up that nose. Look at that nose pitch. We pulled it all the way back, and wing goes over just like the real stall in the unit, but I didn't get the shimmer. In the other aircraft, it started to shake, and that was in Flight Sim World. In this one, it didn't. Give them time. Maybe they can add it to it, or maybe somebody will pick this aircraft up and do a realism patch for it. Alright, so now I stabilized my altitude back at 3,000. Going to pull back again. You'll see me continuously let this aircraft drop in speed. You're going to see it from the inside this time, right in the pilot seat. And get that aircraft down to about 55 knots. 55 knots, which we can't see here. There we go, we got it. And full power is going to come in a second. And then full power, keep pitching up, keep pitching up, keep pitching up. And get squirrely up here, making sure rudder is correct. And right there, it drops, and wait for the wing to drop. There it goes. That was as close to what I remember as being real. Alright, we're getting a little bit too high over here. We're going to go back and turn towards Farmingdale. Now when you're out here in this area and going back towards Farmingdale, you got to be very careful, because as you're in this area, you're going to notice that you're also in the airspace, the Class A airspace. And this still shows us over it because that's where our aircraft is right now, but in actuality we're over here we're over here somewhere. So when you're flying back from the south, you've got to make sure that you stay out of that Class A airspace so you don't move into Kennedy and LaGuardia's airspace. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive towards the ground and start turning towards the airport. So far the aircraft is giving me as good of a feeling as the stock 172 raised a couple of notches. Not as high as Airfoil Labs. There's things missing. Actual stall, the shimmer, the shake, the sounds that the control surfaces make when you yank on them, the way that the rudder works. All those things need to be worked out over time. But honestly, this aircraft is doing well. And I'm just looking at how it flies, trying to get an accurate measure of if I can suggest this to other people that might be looking for a Warrior to add to their hangar. And so far I can tell you this, on one flight, I think it's worth it. It was $25. For those of you that are Star Citizen addicts, that's about the same cost as a Aurora. Only this you could fly in a real life world right now, and not just in a very baby world. I could fly this all over the world, not just in a tiny little place. No, I'm not knocking my favorite game. I know most of you that are going to watch my X-Plane videos are going to be here for X-Plane, but just know I'm a big Star Citizen YouTuber also. Alright, so I'm going to start turning into Farmingdale at this point. I'm going to try to cut, like if I cross this island too far, right here, I'm in JFK space. So I'm going to do my best to stay, let me see where we're going to go. Good. I'm going to do my best to stay to the right of this area over here. Because if I go over those two islands, I'm in the wrong area. Meanwhile, if we can get this correctly, you can start to see Farmingdale, I think, right over here. You see it right there? Okay. So I took off on runway 140, 14, and I'm going to try to land on runway 14 regardless of what the ATIS said about 010. I think because there's no wind, they're going to put you on 010. That's cool. But I just want to land on the same one. And really, honestly, it's because I don't want to go anywhere near landing in this direction right now. I know that 010 will be that way. But I just don't want to remember anything from this side landing. It was a harrowing experience. I mean, essentially what was happening is we're coming in over here. Oh, God. We're coming in on runway 32, okay? And look how close to the water it is. It's not that far off. I mean, a couple of miles off the beach, 5 miles off the beach. So what you would get is every day around midday, you would have winds that would stay the same from like 10 o'clock in the morning till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. As nighttime would come and the winds would change, you would get a wind shift in this area. So we were doing late night touch and goes in the Warrior, just getting me ready for my flight test. And essentially what happened was we experienced that wind shear. The plane stalled. She goes and says, I got the aircraft, I'm about ready to let go. And she's pulling the wheel into her lap as the wing is starting to fall to the right on approach. I push the aircraft's nose down, gain speed, and level it off and do a go around. I landed for a full stop. She wanted to do another hour of touch and goes. I was done with her. How can you trust any instructor that would panic like that? And that's essentially what happened. And it freaked me out. I think I refused to fly with her again, and I was flying with this other gentleman. And the reason I was flying out of this area, which is Farmingdale, is I started dating my ex, and they lived in this area, so I figured it was a good place to go and get some work done. Let me see. Oh, there it is. 13 touch and goes. That was in April of 1986. Oh, was it April of 86? Oh no, that's not 86. That was in April of 90. April of 90 that happened. And I made 2 more flights. 2 more flights out of there. She signed off that one. And the last one. Oh, I made a lot more. There's more on the other. Oh, and then I switched. I switched to a different instructor. Oh, and all these are 1, 2, 3, 4 are all solos. And then I went back to Metro Aircraft Rental over in Islip. So it was harrowing, and it was coming in over this runway right here. right here, because $1 Million Air, where I was flying out of, was right over here. And we were right about... it looks different over here. There's a lot more going on over here. If they have ortho... I'm going to do an ortho scenery so I could show you. And there was a lot more in this direction. A lot more. And I just saw buildings coming up at me all of a sudden. I was like, alright, I got it. She was panicking. She had that wheel pulled back hard. And for me to push against her and break it free of her was pretty difficult. And you should never have an instructor that panics. Never. I'm going to keep saying that. I really like this aircraft, though. I thought I was going to have PTSD from flying this, and I figured, let me just go do it. And I chose the red Piper instead of the brown, because the aircraft I was in a brown livery, and I didn't want to choose the brown one when I was flying this, because, I don't know, I thought maybe it would bring back even worse feelings than what I just told you. But Farmingdale is actually a nice place. It used to be the home of Republic Aviation, and Republic, of course, gave us the P-47, and they gave us one of the most epic aircraft that's around today. Yes, I'm talking about the A-10 Warthog. Yeah, the Warthog is definitely an amazing aircraft. Alright, notching in some more flaps. Yeah, I just feel that I'm going to nail this landing, but then I'm going to have problems with the ground resistance, ground roll, whatever you want to call it. I really like the autogen scenery here on Long Island. But I'm going to have to do some tiles. People have already asked me to. Getting this aircraft turn on to final. Let's go inside. Let's see it from here. Yeah, I just continue this turn right through because right now we're going to overshoot. We weren't far enough to the right of the runway. I cut that too close. I was actually talking to you at the time, but my mic was off the whole time and I didn't know it, so I had to reshoot this again. But I thought instead of redoing the flight, I can pay attention better to y'all if I just talk to you like this. Alright, so this landing is actually not too horrible. It's not horrible, it's not perfect, but this is absolutely 100% my first landing in this aircraft, just going totally off of feel and off of my knowledge of flying this plane for what looks like about 20 hours. About 22 hours in this aircraft. And we're coming in. We're coming in nicely. I think we're going to be... Yep. And always remember, don't look at the spot that you're going to land at. Look down the runway. You will land where you intend on. There we go. That was a good landing. And now the ground roll issues that you have with every single aircraft right now. I couldn't get that correct. Look at it. It might also be that the P factor is being way too prevalent in this aircraft, or way too prevalent in the X-plane as a whole. Nonetheless, I really enjoyed this flight, and I think I really enjoy this aircraft. I would say it's a good number 2 or 3 for people. Right now, my number 1 is 100% the Airfoil Labs Cessna 172. And I would say my number 2 would be the stock Cessna that came with X-plane, but I had to hesitate there because there's so much better about the Airfoil Labs that I would probably, if I wanted a Cessna, I'm just going to say in that, unless I need the upgraded GPS for a flight that I'm running. But this is definitely going to be my number 2. I think that AeroSphere has put together not the perfect aircraft, but I think that over time they will make this better. I mean, you have to believe that, right? They're going to get some people buying it. They're going to get some reviews in there. And they're going to see what people want out of it. And what do I want out of it? More liveries. And what else do I want? want accurate stall characteristics. That would typify everything. And why do I want that? Because the Warrior II is a training aircraft. And if it's a training aircraft, it should correctly model the things that you would be doing, for instance, stalling in the aircraft. All right, folks, I think I've spoken enough. Be sure to go back and watch my X-Plane video about the Airfoil Labs Cessna 172. It's about a week ago at this point, and inside there at the very end, listen to the contest, leave a comment like it asks, and I'm going to make you go back there and watch it because that's part of the contest, and I will be giving away an Airfoil Labs Cessna 172 on July 4th. And with that said, you all be safe out there, and I will talk to you soon.